RetroforceGO!
And we're back. We are back. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, friends of all ages, if you are tuning in from iTunes, this is RetroforceGO. You probably found us on RetroforceGO.com. Our parent site is Destructoid.com, run by Nero, who's awesome. And you should check it out because it's funny, and it has news, and it has us. So if you didn't know where that was, go ahead and check it out, please. And I was going to say something important, but that never really happens. But I do want to say, someone made a comment the other day, and I kind of ruined the ending of BioShock in last week's episode. And although the game has been out for a while, I really felt bad, and I wanted to say to Magi Chat, however it was, I'm sorry. So, I'm a dick. Oops. But I didn't ruin the twist that is in BioShock. So there you go. Keep playing.
Do you want to ruin it right now?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, see what happens is...
Yeah, no, well, he was like, he's like, geez, he's like, Chad didn't even ruin the fucking ending to Super Metroid. Why do you have to go and ruin BioShock? And I was like, that's a pretty valid point. Because I damn well do as I please. No, I'm sorry. I don't think this episode.
You ain't bossing me, woman. I do what I want.
I do what I want. Make me pot pie.
I do what I want. Chicken pat pat. Chicken pat pat.
But, so yeah, I just got that out of the way. See, I feel better.
You're such a nice guy.
Don't tell anyone. Alright, so today is not Topher's birthday, but may as well be. It's all about the shmup. Shooters. We got a shitload of questions, listeners. A, I love you. B, I'm going to try to get to all of them. I actually was just thinking about just turning the recorder on and going, hey, Topher, tell me about shoot-em-ups, and then
then it would be a
coming back in an hour
episode.
And then go watch Lord of the Rings extended versions, all of them.
All of them.
And come back and he's still going.
Occasionally put my ear to the
Including the
mic and he'd be
interviews.
like, oh yeah, okay, and in Radiant Silvergun, blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah, he's still going, okay.
Alright, still going, yeah.
So
Moving on to 1982, like 4 hours later.
And then they invented the vertical scroller. But so I guess. If you don't, God, how do you possibly not know what this kind of game is? You're usually in a ship or something, you shoot bullets, and you save the universe more often than not. That is a shooter. They were huge retro games back in the day, and one of our readers also said, hey, well, actually, you know what? I was at RJG, had the best comment. Chad, I know you had it written down. It was something what was it? Hey, remember?
Yeah, I don't have it written down in front of me, but... It said something like, "Why do remember back in the day when all games were platformers or shoot 'em ups?" And he's like, "That was great." And he's like, "Now you know how every game is an MMO or an FPS? That sucks." Or something like that.
Yeah, he's like,
it was awesome.
Now every game's an MMO or FPS. Yeah, these days suck.
Yeah, it was awesome. Best comment of the week.
Best comment
of the
yeah.
week. But yeah, we got a lot of questions and everything. But kids, back in the day, there was a crap ton of shooters out, and it was really popular. And then it just kind of faded. And there's still a lot of love for the genre out there. I know Aaron Lindy is a big fan of it too. And I think his first article had to do with shooters, and for fucking good games. But this is Toph's moment to shine. So I'm just gonna start throwing questions.
Yeah.
At you.
Well, they're still out there. The whole thing's kind of gone underground. It's very punk rock now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very just not mainstream, but it's still very popular. As popular as ever. And just to clarify, we're talking about shmups, not run and gun. So there's going to be no Contra or Metal Slug. We will get to that on another episode. That's another genre.
You know what? A couple questions. I think Juvius had a question. He's like, "Do you consider Contra a shooter?" And a couple other people asked that.
That's a run and gun shooter.
It's a shooter, but it's not like
a run and gun.
There's a difference.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a different kind of shooter.
A shmup is all about piloting your ship.
Yeah, I agree.
And by the way, someone asked me, not in the questions, shmup, where that term came from. I am correct in thinking that it's a quick way to say shoot 'em up, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think EGM may have coined that. Actually, I hate.
Yeah,
that.
Actually, it was coined by some. I heard somewhere it was coined by some British magazine.
Oh, really? Okay. That
Yeah,
makes me feel
some
better.
British gaming magazine, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Topher,
thank you,
you
Jim
should-
Sterling. Even though it's not, I'm just going to credit Jim Sterling with that.
Yeah, anything that
Because
ever
he's
happens
the first
in England,
British guy
it's
I thought of.
thanks, Jim.
Jim Sterling, David Houghton, and Wardrox.
I still just
Thanks-
call
thanks,
them
guys.
shooters. I don't have to call him shmup. I think that's a funny word.
It's a fun word to say, though.
I say shmup because everybody knows what that means. I don't think I call him that in my head. I just say
I just
shooter.
call him shooters.
See, but you say shooter now and it means something different.
Not to me. Sticking to my guns. No Halo. Stupid. All right.
Also, I just want to note before we get started that there are about a zillion shmups out there, and we're not going to mention all of them because I haven't played all of them, and there's no way we're going to fit all that in an hour.
Yeah,
so
so
don't send us fucking hate mail
your
if we miss
fingers
something.
are poised over the keyboard in response to the show like, oh my god, I can't believe you didn't mention... Just stop.
Just simmer
oh
down.
my god, I can't believe you didn't mention Space War, Space Invaders, Defender, Scramble, Borderline, Galaxy Xevious, Tiger Hulk, Radius, Xanac, Fantasy Zone, R-Type, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Yeah. Guardian Legend, Silver Surfer, Plateau.
Well, we are really happy that
Batsugun,
you enjoyed those games. What's great that you enjoyed those games.
Gun Frontier, Einhander.
Topher's my favorite.
Well, Topher will come to your house and he will fucking kill you.
Radiant Silvergun,
Blazing Blazers.
Blazing Blazers.
Mushihime-sama.
Hey, are you just reading them all off?
I'm just naming whatever I can think of.
Well, before I want to ask Chad and Colette this first. What was the first shooters that you guys remember playing, and what was your favorite, real quick?
Chad, why don't you go first?
I don't know if this would count as a shmup or a shooter. Maybe you guys can help clarify. But the first game I ever remember playing similar to was Defender. Would that be considered one?
That totally counts as a shmup.
That game was awesome.
That actually innovated a lot of stuff that you never really saw before it. And
I remember my favorite part about Defender was when the alien creatures would steal the humans from like the villages or whatever, and then you would shoot them and they would fall and you had to catch them before they died. I always thought that was the coolest thing. But they always fell in slow motion, which never really made any sense to me.
Actually, I think that might have been the first horizontal shooter.
Yeah.
It's the first one I remember anyway.
That's the one I remember the most.
But...
And then, of course, once it got into like the really popular ones like R-Type and Gradius and stuff, that's like the ones I really, really remember. But Defender was the first one I ever played.
Colette?
Well, I was thinking just now, you want to know the first one I ever played, or you want to know the first one that made an impact on me that I ever played?
Both. What was the first one you played?
First one I played, I want to say it was probably Galaga. Well, that's the thing, though, is Galaga does count, I assume, even though it's not side-scrolling. So yeah, Galaga was the first one I ever played, and I liked Galaga a lot.
I love Galaga.
Yeah, Galaga's rockin', but the first one that ever really made an impact on me was Life Force for the NES, which everyone here already knows, but dear listeners, you do not know. But I'm not sure what it is about that game that makes it so epic for me. It's just one of my favorite games ever made.
Awesome.
And still fun for me to this day. So, in fact, I told everybody before the show I went looking for it because I assumed that it was going to be on the Virtual Console. Well, I thought
the only shooters not on Virtual Console.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought for some reason that it was out. I really so hardcore believed it. So I was really weirded out when I didn't see it. So.
Like, what's wrong with my Wii?
Like, it's broken.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So, but yeah, man, Nintendo, the person that makes sure that Chad doesn't fire them needs to get that happening.
Get it cracking. The Vigo,
get
the
cracking,
Vigo
people.
painting is watching.
Get on it.
The painting was happy.
Chad Vigo painting.
The one that I remember, I was gonna say because this question, and I was like, I was gonna say Gradius. And it turns out that after reading through a lot of the comments for today's for the post, brought back more memories. I think Gradius is the one that I have probably the most impactful memory of, only because I remember my best friend, sort of part of the family in high school. Her older brother, was hanging out with me one day, which was cool because I was like, oh my god, our older brother's hanging out with me, and he was like, let's play some video games together. So we beat Gradius. Together, and just that's a very that's an amazing game in its own right, but I just have a really strong memory of that. But as reading the comments, someone mentioned River Raid for the Atari 2600.
Oh
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I
forgot about that.
I honestly was like, oh yeah, oh fuck yeah, and I fucking love that game. One of the neighboring kids had it, and I play it all the time.
That game was awesome.
I know, and you're like the little white pixel plane, and just. But that brought back a lot of other shooters that I thought of, like Zaxxon I consider a shooter. And so, holy shit, because a lot of people are like, hey, all you ever talk about is Nintendo. It's like, no, I'm damn well had an Atari too, and fucking remember that. But I remember, honestly, I think the first, even before Gradius, I remember playing, what do you call that game? 1941.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
classic.
like, yeah, definitely classic. So
that game's awesome. Right. That's one of my favorite arcade cabinets.
Yeah, me too.
There's so many out there. It's hard to even think about another one, but. I guess the histories of shooters go a ways back, don't they, Mr. Topher?
Yeah, they go back further than that, actually.
What was your first?
Space Invaders was the first one that I ever played.
Yeah.
Wow.
On 2600. That game actually caused a coin shortage in Japan when it came out, when the cabinet came out.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it caused a national coin shortage.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they ran out of
such a phenomenon, I guess. Whatever their coin is over there, whatever their quarter is, probably like 1,000,000 yen. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, that's the first one I remember playing, and the first one that really made an impact on me was Galaga.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Even to this day, that is my favorite arcade game. Like, I can't walk by one without dumping a quarter in it and just playing.
Yeah.
I love that game too. One of my friends, when we were kids, their dad owned a restaurant, and he had a Galaga unit in it, and he was like a god on that machine. It was fun to play.
Yeah, that's easily my favorite arcade game. I fucking love that game. And then Defender, Scramble, Borderline.
Where did they all start? Like, give us some knowledge, Mr. Topher. Give us some knowledge.
Well, the first one actually was a game called Space War.
Mm-hmm.
It was a computer game, and I don't even know when the hell that came out. I just know that it was the first one, like, officially.
That was like the first video game also,
Space
wasn't it?
Invaders. It might have been. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a bunch of, like, nerds. Well, not nerds. I hate to say it, because that's what we are.
Because that's what we are.
It was a bunch of, like, tech guys doing something, and they made the game, and it was, at some school. I don't know, whatever. Hey, look at Wikipedia. You'll figure it out. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere, I'm sure. And there was, like, Asteroids. That kind of counts. It's like an arena shooter. Really. I guess it counts.
It counts if you say it counts, man.
I should have mastered.
God damn it. Defender. Everybody knows Defender. That was like 1980, I think.
Oh, jeez, I don't know.
God, yeah. And then Scramble.
Which one's that? Because I don't remember.
Yeah, that
Scramble was
Scramble. I don't remember that.
It's a Konami game. It's old as shit. It was like 80 or 81. And it was the first one to have forced scrolling, and like each level was distinct. It paved the way for a lot of stuff like Gradius. That's where a lot of stuff that's kind of the standard now, or was the standard after that, kind of came from Scramble. I haven't played it in years. I don't really remember it. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it, but I have played it. So,
which way did it scroll? Was it vertical or horizontal?
I think it was horizontal. I don't even remember.
Wasn't Xevious the first vertical scroller? Wasn't that like its claim to fame?
For Nintendo?
They say that Xevious was the first vertical shmup, but it was, I don't know, Galaga was a vertical shmup.
Yeah, but your ship didn't move.
It didn't scroll,
yeah.
It didn't scroll.
Yeah, it's true.
The enemies came at you.
Xevious kind of sucks, though.
Does it? Okay. I'm like, I don't know. I just remember...
Yeah, a lot of people are going to get mad. I don't like Xevious.
No, I don't like it that much either.
It's just not that fun to me.
Well, the old ones were like kind of like really basic, and it was like...
Yeah, it was really basic. It wasn't until like, I guess like Tiger Hell or Gradius that you started seeing stuff like the screen clearing bombs and selectable weapons or the options.
Options are the greatest.
gun pods and drone ships and stuff like that, different upgradable weapons and all that.
I gotta ask.
And that was like the mid-'80s.
What guys do you like better, real quick? The R-Type or the Gradius?
Gradius.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote with Gradius.
I like the power-up. I love the power-up system in Gradius. I think it's so clever.
Yeah, I like the levels in Gradius better, just with all the crazy shit that's going on. Same with Life. Well, Life Force is actually a spin-off of Gradius. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Well, I thought it was okay. Yeah,
that's what
asking,
you guys
Life
told
Force
that.
is Salamander, right?
Yeah,
Life
Force
is Salamander.
And Life Force, I thought was just Gradius too.
Wow, you guys, I just got a great idea.
Huh.
Let me stop the whole show so I can talk about my great idea. What an asshole. I just got the best idea. Can't you find, like, the graphics for Salamander? You can still find them, right?
Yeah.
Like, are they floating around the internet?
Thing?
Yeah, like the snake head, like basically the exact same cover, but instead of saying Life Force, it says Salamander.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to find a good high-res image of that, and I'm going to make myself a fucking t-shirt.
That would be an awesome t-shirt, actually.
Wouldn't it? I can totally see you wearing that, too. Anyway, okay, I'm done. Sorry about interrupting the show for my stupid fashion moment.
That's an awesome idea.
Stupid
Fashion
retro
moment.
fashion moment. I'm such a dumbass. Okay, go ahead. Seriously.
Show goes on. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to Colette's 8-bit retro moment fashion.
We need some like special music that comes on for her fashion moment.
Freeform fashion moment. And,
We'll do that right after the Rev Rant from now on, just to balance things out.
Colette's retro fashion moment. Yeah. I'm sorry to say that's all too believable.
Well, all right.
awesome.
We haven't answered my question. Is it a sequel or?
It's a spin-off.
Okay. So there's an
It's
actual.
pretty
Gradius
much the
too.
same fucking game, but yeah, like it's supposed to be the same pilot or whatever, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Officially, Life Force is a spin-off. It's a Gradius spin-off.
Right. But are the
Same
stories
fucking
actually
game.
related?
I don't know. It's the same
Does
game.
anybody really care?
Not
Stories
really.
and
Well,
shmups are very few and far between.
Here's one. Like someone asked this question. Actually, a couple people, and they're saying the difference between like D-pads and arcade sticks. And like here, Saberman goes, "Where do you guys stand on sticks versus pads?" And I honestly didn't. I never have noticed much of a difference between using an arcade stick and using a D-pad for a shooter. Personally, like I've never, it's like if you're dealing with the old ones, it's like it's almost the same to me.
Yeah, it depends on the game for me.
Really?
It really depends on the
He
game.
mentions like Gradius 5, but I guess it has like the PS2, D-pad kind of sucks, even though I like it. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
starting.
don't know. It depends on the game. Like there are certain, like Galaga, I can't play that on anything but a cabinet.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, whatever.
You
but
can, but you'd rather not.
Yeah.
Like my
I know what
Galaga
you mean.
my Galaga score on my 360 is like half what my arcade score is.
Yeah, see, that's
Like
funny.
I just can't do it with an analog stick or a D-pad. I have to have the knob,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. It was a knob. I thought it was a stick. I don't remember.
No, it was a stick.
All right.
The stick with the knob on it, the big ball. You know what I did.
Oh,
I know what you're
okay.
talking about.
That's
I
what
thought
I
you
meant.
meant
I
like
shouldn't
the
have said
dial.
knob because now you're thinking a dial.
Yeah, I am
No,
thinking a dial.
Big joystick. The big red ball.
Yeah, the
And the
bigger.
fire
yeah.
button. You go tap, 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 tap. Yeah.
Well, I get a question. I'm sorry because this just popped up. I love it because it says "Heed my call, dear Lord Topher." And this will probably. Like,
It's a nice ring to it.
Yeah, this is good one. Yeah, that's if you want to be heard on the air. It's from Mozgus. My question is this: how can I learn to truly enjoy the shmup? I've played about 40 different shmups across Neo Geo, Saturn, Dreamcast, and PS2. I can appreciate them, and I can understand how a person can love them. I just can't seem to love them myself. Do I absolutely need to use the stick rather than a D-pad? Do I need a progressive display tiled 90 degrees? Should I learn to keep my eyes trained on my own ship rather than my enemy? Should I focus
No.
on scores rather than just beating the game? What is it that makes me so indifferent about shmups? So, including that question, try and incorporate what you love about them so much, and that's pretty much open for everybody.
I don't know. I can't really answer that. It's a personal thing, I guess. It's kind of like religion, or like religion should be. Like it's kind of up to you what you get out of it, and
What draws
you know.
you to it?
God, I just love it.
I just love it.
You know how like in DuckTales, Scrooge McDuck would go into his vault and like dive into that big pit of money.
The money bin.
Yeah.
And
Like dream
swim
come
around
true.
in it.
Mm-hmm.
A good shmup, to me, is like that, but instead of money in the pit, it's like candy and puppies and naked Korean women, and like, I just dive into it, and that's kind of how. That's like when I sit down to play Ikaruga. That's what I get.
What about you guys? What do you like about them?
I think for me, the best part about them is something that I've noticed a lot of games you don't really see as much anymore, is that with a shmup, you can jump in and you can blast the fuck out of things within like 10 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
you can be playing.
Yeah, that's true.
And, I hate to say that, but I think since games have become such a big production, it's really hard to just jump into the game and play. And that was, at the time that, shooters became popular, that's mostly what games were. But for me, I think that they've become so important over time because it's one of the only games where you can still do that. And it's just got, like, such a fun, easy feel. And a lot of games don't have that. So that's probably the addictive thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Chad?
I think there's kind of two reasons. Number one, what's so cool about shmups, it's like you never have a time to take a break. Like, even in a game like Contra, like you could get to a spot where you can just stop and kind of catch your breath. But with a shmup, there's like you can't do that one time ever. It's like it's non-stop action 100% of the time, which I think is so cool. And the second thing, there's something just infinitely satisfying about like shooting like these giant massive creatures that are like 1,000 times your size.
Yeah,
with, like,
and
a
a
little
ship.
gun. Yeah, and like it just there's something about it. It just feels good. And then like especially adding in power ups. A shmup with like these enormous power ups. It's like it doesn't get any better than that. To have this humongous laser beam coming out of your little ship that's like the size of the screen.
Yeah.
That's just like it's literally like that's nothing gets better than that.
I don't know. I always like them because it's what am I trying to say? The reflexes. You need like incredibly like quick on the spot split second reflexes, and that's what a shooter is to me, where it's just like, everything's trying to kill you. Everything will kill you, you'll die, and it's just like this sort of like intense like test of skill. Like, how fast are you? Like, how fast can you do it? Like, can you see the patterns in the bullets coming at you and just like to avoid? Because like when I play a fighting game, I almost never use block. I try, which I should, but like I'm constantly trying just to dodge and move.
I do that too.
Yeah.
I do that too.
Yeah, I do that as well.
And that's how I am in shooters. It's like avoid, don't touch anything, and I fucking love that. But it's just his other question was like, do you focus on the ship? And like when I play a shooter, I'm never look at anything other than my ship. Like I just stare at my ship and I follow that, and anything gets close to me, I move. Like that's how I play. And it's just, but
That's
I
not
Yeah.
how I. Really?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
how.
no, you know what? That's how I play too. And I think,
Yeah,
see, Topher, I think, does something that we don't do that makes him a superior player.
I kind of stare into the middle of the screen.
that's what I do actually.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I look at both at the same time because like I used to just look at my ship, but it didn't work well for me. So yeah, that's what I do now, Topher, too. Is I just look in the
Well, if
middle.
you're staring at your ship, you can't see anything as it's coming at you.
Coming, right.
I kind of
Interesting.
stare into the middle of the screen and focus on what I need to when I need to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I probably more often than anything else am looking at where my fire is directed.
I always
Yeah.
just like hit his fire as much as possible, and I just assume whatever gets in front of me will get shot. And then I look at my ship, because if I kind of look at like the bigger picture, something will hit me. Like, because I can't consciously keep in mind where my ship is. So
It's weird. It's probably different for everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like there are so many shmups. Like I probably couldn't even tell you what the fucking ship looks like because I just don't look at the ship.
I just look at the area around the ship, and I'm just like, okay, nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Like, and I just keep moving.
The only time I really do look at the ship is the really fucking crazy bullet hell Danmaku shooters, like all the Toho project stuff.
Well, what does
Where
that
they're-
mean? What is Toho? Because that was the first question. Like, I don't like Toho games, and you're like, huh? What?
Yeah, you know what?
Toho games.
I'm not. Yeah, get out.
No, but what are they?
Tough.
Oh,
We're-
okay.
We're totally are going to talk about Toho project. And if you just get out.
This is Topher's show. Don't fuck around.
No, I know. I wasn't talking to Dyson. I know you didn't make the comment, but
But I just wanted to know what Toho was.
Toho is I wasn't talking to somebody said in the comments, don't talk about Toho Project. I'm like, what?
You know what? You can suck it because this is our show.
Tough.
Sorry.
Just someone tell me what Toho is.
Please leave. Toho Project is a series of shooters made by one guy. It's this Japanese game maker. His name's Zune, I think, something like that. And he calls himself Team Shanghai Alice or something like that.
Like his name's really Zune?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I'm like, like he's some guy named Zune.
It's one guy. Well, it's Doujinsoft, and Doujinsoft is like they're indie games, and just developed by small circles of people who just make shmups, like indie programmers, and make shmups, and they're like most of them are free, and they're some of the best shmups out there, really.
Are they
these
Doujinsoft
ones? Yeah. Most of them, yeah. Toho Project, though, is just one guy. He does all the music, all the graphics, the programming, all the art, everything. Just this one dude. And they're famous for just having just these disgusting bullet patterns. Like, you have your ship, and then you just have trillions of enemy bullets, just the whole screen. 90% of the screen is filled with bullets.
That's what bullet hell stands for, right? I'm sorry to ask that question, but like,
yeah.
When you say bullet hell, you mean you're basically facing a shmup that's supposed to be completely ridiculous. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bullet hell, or danmaku, which is the Japanese for bullet hell. It means bullet curtain.
What was the one game that's like really, really, really infamous? The one where they have YouTube videos of it, where it literally like the entire screen is bullets. Like it's ridiculous.
Ikaruga, right?
Probably one of the Toho games.
No, yeah, I think it might be. Yeah, no, it's not Ikaruga because it's like it has a Japanese name, but it's like it literally is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, Toho Project is really famous for that. All those games like Phantasmagoria, Dim Dream. Perfect Cherry Blossom is probably the most famous. Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, Mystic Square, Imperishable Night, Lotus Land Story. The guy's pretty prolific. There are a lot of these games, and they have a really strong focus on characters, which you don't really see in shmups a lot. Like there's a really strong like character-based thing going on where in the middle of boss battles you'll see the character pop up and say something. Like there's all this story to it.
Like, holy crap, that guy's huge. Don't die. Well, what do you think? Like, are stories like you're saying that's kind of like a new thing? Like, I don't remember there being a lot of stories. I know that.
Yeah, I guess recently, the past decade or so, there's been more emphasis on story.
Do you think that's like because you can only do so much with the shooter? Do you think they started adding the story to kind of keep it fresh, or it's just
maybe
like a particular type of style?
Maybe, could be.
Because you've gone on record saying, like, Ikaruga, like, all the stories located in the instruction manual. And
it's all in the instruction manual, or it's all in when you, if you play, you get a certain score or whatever you unlock, like the art galleries, and it's got the story in there. On the Dreamcast version, anyway, I don't know, I haven't played the GameCube version.
But they do it in such a way to where you really, you don't have to pay any attention to the story. If
right, they don't force it on you. If you want, like, Ikaruga, there's a really deep, really awesome story there. If you choose to pay attention to it.
Right.
You don't have to, like, you can, if you want, you can just sit down and fucking pew pew pew, and,
pew, pew, pew.
Beginning to end, you don't have to pay attention to the story at all.
I like that. That was just like shooters because I like the Twitch reaction time that necessary.
Speaking of pew pew pew, do you guys like shooters that have where you could hold down the button and constantly shoot, or do you have to always keep pressing it?
I like that better.
Preference? Because the ones where you have to keep pushing it, the one benefit with that is sometimes they add the charge shot, which I kind of like.
Yeah, a lot of games do that.
Chad,
I know what you're talking about.
Chad, did you play Omega 5 yet?
See, that's the thing. I have yet to play it. I can't believe it. Like, I feel like a horrible person.
Well, no, you're not. But what I was going to say was that the cool thing about Omega 5, which everyone else can attest to here, is that you actually use the right analog stick, and you just press it in the direction you want to shoot in, and that's how you shoot.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
everybody's doing that now with these arena shooters or whatever. I thought it was kind of interesting that they did that with Omega 5.
I kind of don't like that, to be honest with you.
I really don't like it either, but I can appreciate
Really?
that it's, you know.
I don't like it
See,
because
I really like it.
See, my thing I like about shooters is it's like a test of reflexes, and I like the fact that I usually, like in Ikaruga, like you hold down the button and it fires. In some games like you just tap the button, and like the faster you tap it, the faster you shoot. But you move your ship, and you can like immediately affect where you're firing, because you usually fire like either up or to the right, depending on vertical or horizontal. In Omega 5, and I like the game, I fucking highly recommend that you all go out and get it. But like if I'm shooting behind myself, I feel that it takes too long for me in the way that I'm used to playing shooters to change from like shooting behind me to forward. Because you have to rotate around.
It does, and it's not even like Geometry Wars where you can just flip left, right. It's
you can't do that?
You have to rotate that fucking laser.
You have to rotate
that's
the laser.
I don't like that about it, but whatever.
But yeah, I mean, it works for the game, but I don't see that as a way to replace an actual traditional control setup.
No, I don't think
it should
either.
replace it. I think it would be really nice if you could do both. But I mean, I guess, most games are not going to have time to implement both. I don't know.
Well, I think it's good that they're doing something different. I mean, if every shmup was exactly the same, it would get old. I think it's neat that they're trying something new.
Actually, there's the one character, RAD, when you unlock her, like she's got the same weapons or whatever as Ruby, but she moves a little slower with the right stick, but she moves faster. Like as you move the character with the left stick, she's faster, but her weapon is slower. And I found myself just pointing the weapon forward the whole time and moving really fast up and down.
That makes sense.
And playing it like an old shmup. And I kind of preferred that almost to this whole Geometry War, new school, like dual stick bullshit.
Yeah, well, what do you when you center on shoot 'em up? So you're talking about the Toho, and that's kind of underground, and it's that one guy. What do you think of like Geometry Wars and stuff like that? Like, what do you think of the new shooters versus the old?
Well, I don't know.
And I don't mean like Space Invaders versus Ikaruga, because it's really hard. That's obviously.
Well, that's the thing about shmups. There are all these subgenres. Like that's a whole other subgenre. That's like multi-directional arena shooter, dual stick. Like Asteroids kind of goes in there. Like Robotron 2084. You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Arcade, or like Bosconian, Time Pilot, Sinistar.
Oh, I like Time Pilot.
I like
Crimson
Sinistar
Land,
too.
Smash TV. Well, that was more of a, but that sort of fit. Desert Strike, like that kind of thing. I just think of that like as a subgenre.
Do you like when they take kind of a different theme? Because most shmups are almost exactly the same. They're some futuristic ship and shooting around, some futuristic world with some crazy ass robot things flying around, or an alien thing like in Gradius. But I like when they kind of take like a different theme. Like, do you guys remember this game called UN Squadron for the Super Nintendo? Do you remember that game?
I remember it, but I don't think I ever played it.
I think it was actually one of the launch games. Like, and if it wasn't a launch game, it came out right at the very beginning of the Super Nintendo because it was one of the first games I ever owned, and it was like either the second or third game I bought. And it was a shmup, but it took place like during a war, kind of. So you were like a regular plane, you were like a regular jet, like.
That's like 1943 or any of those.
Yeah, it was, but it was horizontal though, which is so different. You know what I mean? And it was really awesome.
I remember that game.
Yeah, it literally was like 1941, but it was like a horizontal version of it. It was.
Well, there's still a lot of shmups that do
awesome.
that, like shit. On Pachi,
is there a lot of Japanese shmups with like isn't there one where you're like a witch or something riding around in a broom?
That's Cotton.
Oh yeah, there's a whole other
What's
Cotton,
that? Cotton?
Or Cotton.
Yeah.
Because there's
there's one for
there's
one for the Virtual Console where you're a dragon, and I'm like, and there's also Air Zonk. But I mean, all jokes aside, though, I mean, it's a great game, and it's kind of neat to play a shmup that's not just a traditional shmup. It's fun to play one with a completely different theme.
Right? Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Well, there's a whole other subgenre that we refer to as cute-em-ups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Twinkle
That's
Star
awesome.
Sprites.
I like that.
Actually, the picture that I used,
That's so cute.
The character that I used for the post pick today is Time from Twinkle Star Sprites.
Uh-huh.
And in that game, it's a competitive shooter, and instead of a ship, you have a little girl on a broomstick, like witches.
Oh
or
yeah,
That's
on a
so
rose
cool.
or on a, and all the enemies are like hearts and cupcakes and lollipops.
okay. Was this game made for me?
I think it was made for both of us, Chad and
It's
me.
an awesome game. There are a lot of those out there though. Like Gunbird is one that sort of falls into that genre. It's not quite as cute as Twinkle Star Sprites, but you're still shooting at bats and ships and stuff like that. But there are like roses everywhere and flowers and.
Wow. And
There's
what
this whole other subgenre that's called Cute-em-ups. That's
what systems were these for, Toph?
anything.
So
Cotton was on
basically-
TurboGrafx 16.
Oh wow.
And it came out later for Neo Geo Pocket Color, Saturn, Dreamcast. Twinkle Star Sprites was on Saturn, Dreamcast. There's a remake, actually the one that I got the picture from is the PS2 version.
Wow.
A lot of this stuff's all just Japan only because nobody cares about it here.
Was it Gunbird? You said like new challenger mentioned Gunbird 2, but it has Morrigan in it. Is that Morrigan from Darkstalkers?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Capcom game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think if it's the one I'm thinking of, I don't know. Don't quote me.
What
Could
Topher?
be
What
wrong.
console do you think had the best shmups like in total?
Oh God. There's so many. Like
I would probably vote for either Dreamcast or Super Nintendo.
I don't know
It
the
was-
Turbo
it was-
Graphics. If you keep listening.
Oh yeah,
to-
wait, what am I? Yeah, of
Duh.
course, TurboGrafx. What am I
you
thinking?
have to kind of have to go back to the history. Like, I mean, there's all this stuff in the early '80s, and then it wasn't until I guess like '93 when you started to see these bullet hell shmups, like really crazy manic shit like that, and that's like my favorite type of shmup.
I don't really like that style actually.
It's too much. It's almost
It's too much for me, but I think
Some of it's just too much. Some of those Toho games are a little much. I love them, but it's like when you 95% or more of the screen is taken up by enemy fire, and you're this little.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before. It's crazy.
But I think isn't that pretty popular, Topher, in Japan, like to be able to beat or do really well at shmups like that?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but Cave, like, I don't know. I mean, you had this stuff in the 80s, and then in the late 80s, you had, like, R-Type, Guardian Legend,
I don't remember that game.
Fantasy Zone.
Fantasy Zone? What? That's on the Master System. The little Opa guy?
Is it?
Yeah, that was like the Master.
Stuff like that.
I
And then
remember
it kind of plateaued. Like, there wasn't really anything going on or anything changing as far as shmups until, like, the 90s when all this bullet hell stuff started happening with, like, Batsugan, Danpachi, Battle Garega, Gun Frontier. And, like, that's when it kind of...
Well, it just changed, actually, more. Cause,
that whole thing, like, that whole movement sort of breathed new life into shmups.
Yeah.
And that was around the time of, like, to answer Chad's question, Saturn, PS1, Neo Geo, TG16, like early 90s. I think a lot of people might answer that, that those are some of the best consoles. Probably Saturn. There's so many great shmups on the Saturn. Yeah, Saturn, Dreamcast. Yeah. Those are the ones that all my favorites are on.
Yeah, the Saturn has, what is it, like one of the most expensive games in the world, like Radiant Silvergun?
Radiant Silvergun is so fucking expensive, it's ridiculous.
Isn't that like the first? Isn't Ikaruga a sequel to that?
Yeah, spiritual.
Related.
It's really not
Spiritual sequel.
like
Spiritual sequel.
The stories and anything like that have nothing to do with each other. But spiritually, it's like if you watch Radiant Silvergun, it looks like Ikaruga almost. It's much more. It's really colorful and they're wildly different. But just the way the ships move and everything like that, it almost looks like it's the same engine. I mean, it might even. I don't think it is, but.
Don't ask me. I never had a Saturn.
I don't think it is, no, because Ikaruga is that's the Sega's Naomi system.
I wonder whoever came up with the
And
concept
Naomi is just like a
That's the arcade
Dreamcast
board, right?
on steroids, yeah.
Yeah.
The 16-board arcade system. It's I could go on for the whole podcast about the Naomi cabinet.
What were you saying, Chad?
No, I was just saying, like, I wonder who came up with the concept of these horizontal. I mean, the vertical shooters make a little more sense with the movement of the ship, but when you think about a horizontal shooter, like the movement of the ship, it really makes no sense. I mean, the screen is scrolling at one speed, and your ship is moving. I'm assuming, I guess, the speed of the screen, but then the way you can move around it just so independently, it doesn't really make any sense. And I just really am curious whoever even came up with this concept to begin with. Like, it's very, very odd. It's a very odd way to play a game if you think about it.
Horizontal shooters?
Yeah, just think about like the concept of it. Like, you're flying around a ship that just is moving independently. It just seems strange. You know, it doesn't really make any sense if you think about it practically.
I don't know. I don't like horizontal shooters anywhere near as much as I like vertical shooters.
I was actually going to ask you that earlier. Like, which do you prefer, horizontal?
Yeah,
or
somebody asked that in the comments too. That's just a personal
Yeah,
thing.
it's funny because
horizontal.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was going to say like, oh, they're probably tied, but the more I think about it, I think the ones I like the best are horizontal. So I might have to go with horizontal as well.
See, if I even I see a horizontal shooter and I'm like, nah, like I'm just not as. I look at a vertical shooter, I'm like, oh, what's this?
I always lose track of my ship when I
into
play a vertical shooter because I'm always looking at the top of the screen, seeing what's coming at me, as opposed to a horizontal shooter where I just like I don't for some reason. Like I just play
that might
better
go back
when
to
it's horizontal.
Galaga or something for me. I fucking love vertical shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when
I never really got into the horizontal ones. I just don't. I'm not as good at them. Like my brain just doesn't work that way for some reason. I can't, left to right. I just can't do it.
Up and down.
Yeah.
That's crazy left right shit. That's fucking cool. What was it like? A lot of you were talking going back yet again to Bullet Hell. Was it someone was mentioning all these different genres like Thunder Force, Musha, I think, and like a lot of other ones. And Chad, you were like, oh, everything used to be, like a ship, and it would move left to right, stuff like that. And I think it seems like maybe like the Bullet Hell, as you said, Topher, brought new life into it because a lot of games like you really can only do so much with the shooter.
Yeah, before then everything was kind of like R-Type, Gradius.
Yeah, they were
it was
all
kind of the same shit, and
Blazing Blizzard.
like it wasn't really going anywhere. Like a new shmup would come out, and it was like, okay, it's another Gradius clone.
Yeah, huh?
Whatever, but it wasn't until Donpachi or what the hell was that? Batsugun, I guess.
Words I don't understand.
93. Sega.
But
the games that really like introduced the bullet hell thing and sort of paved the way for everything else that came after that.
Would you consider Star Fox and like Panzer Dragoon shmups?
Those are like rail shmups.
Right.
I guess they're shmups.
But
it's more of a.
But see, you say rail shmups, but I mean, like, how is a vertical shooter not a rail shooter?
Because you can move your ship anywhere you want.
Yeah, but you can move your ship anywhere you want in Star Fox. You just can't. You can move it all around the screen like you can in a vertical shooter.
It's like a 3D shooter, right?
Yeah, but that's like 3D Wing Commander, like.
Yeah.
Moving forward, it's not scrolling 2D.
The Panzer Dragoon games.
That's where I got you right there. It's not 2D.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's good. I'm just curious. Yeah. I mean, if it's 3D, I guess you're right. I guess it isn't a shmup.
Yeah.
Really?
I guess I don't know. Some people might consider. I don't personally.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
I think Star Fox is a shooter. Like you're in a ship and you're
it's a
firing,
shooter, totally. But I wouldn't like if you say shmup. I don't think Star Fox.
Yeah.
No, I don't
know.
know.
I
Yeah, I
think
guess you can like. Yeah, it's more like an adventure shooter or something.
Yeah, shmup has a specific look to it, and I think you're right. I think it needs to be 2D.
I agree. Yeah.
Vertical or horizontal. Yeah.
Have you guys heard of a game called Genitos or Genitos?
No.
Genitos, whatever.
No.
I actually, Buster told me about this. It's a game. It's a shmup, and it's an indie game where you go through the history of shmups.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Wow.
You start off, and the first level is Space Invaders, basically. You have the little ship from Space Invaders, and you have the Space Invaders enemies, coming down slowly toward you.
Sea squid.
And when you kill an enemy, they release these little green bullets, I guess, and you collect them. And as you collect more and more, your ship will go through what's called a generation shift, where like it'll turn from the Space Invader ship into like the ship from Xevious, and all of a sudden you have more firepower, and you can kill more of the Space Invaders enemies and collect more of the green things, which will trigger the boss battle. and then you kill the boss, and it releases even more, and then you go on to the next level, which is like Xevious or Galaga, and then the level after that is like R-Type or...
So what is the name of this game that I absolutely have to play?
Yeah.
It's called Genetos. I'm probably saying it wrong. Genetos.
Okay.
Just Google it, and you can find it.
Is it
That's awesome.
Is it, what do you call it? PC game?
Yeah, it's PC.
Damn it!
I know. we need boot camp, both of us.
I know. I don't want to put Windows on my Mac.
But it's really cool, and it sort of just takes you through the whole history of shmups, and it, you'll go from Space Invaders to like a Galaga type level to something more like Gradius, and then by the end of it, it's bullet hell.
Oh.
And you have these like big round bullet patterns, starburst type shit.
I'm
that you
sorry.
have to...
I don't like bullet hell. I'm sorry.
Well, it's up to you.
Yeah, I don't like the pattern recognition. I bought Ikaruga. I have it for the GameCube because this dude was playing it at Fry's, and he's like, "This game's fun." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I was watching. He actually said it was easy. He's like, "Yeah, it's easy once you figure it." Yeah.
Is that Topher's long lost brother?
Yeah. Well, apparently, and he was just cruising through the game, and so I was like, "Okay." And then I played it. And I was like, "God, this game's hard." And but it was like what I said earlier. Like what I like out of shooters is reflexes, like pattern memorization. I don't really dig the whole like one way through the level, like it's gonna come at you this way. Like I just
there's many more than one way through the level.
I don't know. It's just like with the
great many ways to get through it.
Like with the pattern recognition, it just seems like I'm not relying on my reflexes as much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
There's a lot less unknown in the game.
It takes more memorization. I'm going to refer to Aaron Lindy's post called "Real Men Play Gradius." Which search Destructoid, you'll find that. I'll probably refer to that a lot in this episode because it's a fucking awesome article.
Yeah, it's great. It's like the Bible of shmups.
Totally relevant. But he said in that post, when he's talking about Ikaruga, that video of the guy who's like playing perfect dual ship Ikaruga, and he said a lot of people will point at that and say that that's just memorization. And he said, well, how is that any different from playing a particularly difficult piece on a piano?
What does that have to do with the...
you have to memorize it, and it's not as impressive as just like doing it on the spot, but is it really any less impressive that you can do it?
That's a good point.
Like, you still have to do it.
Well, I don't agree with that point with my point. That's like you're just saying, well, yeah, it's still hard to do, and doesn't make it any less of an effort. No, not at all. That point I agree, but that it's like you're still playing a piano, you're still memorizing something. I prefer from shooters to actually have like the more of the reflex, everyone knows in Gradius, you hover here and the guys are going to come from the right in this area, and then you go down a little and then they come from there and you go up like that. But it's like it's a little more uncontrolled, even though they're so patterned, and it's just like
right. I understand your point.
Yeah, so it's just like, to me, it's just like I like the more chaotic versions of the genre than just sort of like okay, well, like to get through this level,
I like that too. I mean, that's the first time you ever play a shmup. That's what you're dealing with.
Yeah,
it's just all twitch. It's all reflex, and it's all just skill and using what you've learned over the years. But if you really sink into something and try to... A lot of shmups, like Ikaruga, the really tough shmups, you have to learn that.
Yeah.
You can't just... Nobody can just sit down and play through Ikaruga. You have to, study it and learn to play it. You know what I mean?
I like that, though. That's cool. I like video
I like
games.
that, too. I like that, too.
That's the
Feeling
thing that I
you
love
can
the
actually
most
spend
about...
time with it.
That's the thing I love most about shmups is that there's no... just doing it, you can't just play to the end because you have the time. You know what I mean? And there's too many games are like that nowadays, where it's like anybody that's got 30 hours can finish it. Where most shmups, it's like you really have to use a lot of skill and practice.
Yeah, my buddy and I kept playing Gradius 5 over and over again, and you have to play the game for long enough time to get extra continues. And we're just like, okay, so we're going to put in another hour here. Because you don't beat the game. No.
No.
You can't just beat the game oh, I've got 3 guys and 2 credits. Yeah, I'll beat Gradius. No, you won't. You really won't. So we just keep playing and playing and playing, trying to get it to the point where it's like, we'll, as we'll get better, we'll also have more, continues. And that's what's like. I hope Omega 5 has more continues because I can't get past the fucking stupid second level.
Yeah,
I
it does,
know,
and it unlocks
I
it all
can't either.
really quick too.
I know, it's
After, I don't know, if you play it for like 2 or 3 hours, you'll have free play mode opened.
funny.
It comes up really quick.
That's cool.
So you have to beat each level, though, right? Like you beat the level and then you have free play open?
No, you just play it. You can fucking
Really?
turn the game on and walk away. And just let
really?
it die over and over, and
That's no
you'll eventually unlock free play mode, and then you can just play to your heart's content.
Wow, I had no idea. That's
A lot of
awesome.
shmups are like that if you put in the time. Ikaruga's like that. If you put in enough, I think it's like you get an extra few credits for every 6 hours or every 8 hours that you play or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
they reward
eventually
you.
you unlock free play mode when you can just, okay, this is what the end looks like, and even if you suck at it, you can still get to the end.
Cool. Okay, well, I'll do that because I was thinking, oh man, I've got to get through all as far as I can on only 3 lives, and I kept dying like somewhere in the middle of the second level.
Yeah, just keep playing. A lot of
Okay.
shmups are like that. Just keep playing, and as you get better at it, you'll unlock more credits. And by the time you unlock free play mode, you might not even need it because you played it so long. You'll
Right
know what to
on.
do.
Okay, I'm totally gonna do that.
So yeah, a lot of really tough shmups are that way.
What would you, the Wonderall asks, he goes, say, which games would you recommend to people who are just getting into the shmup genre? So, like, you obviously know more about it than we do. So what, obviously Omega 5's available, and you can, not download not emulated games from the internet if you wanted to. But what would be
Yeah,
like?
I actually
Like, I would not recommend Gradius, really, honestly, because that game's so fucking hard. Like, if you're in the same way that you really wouldn't recommend, like Mega Man 2 to someone, or Mega Man 1.
I would recommend, if you really don't know much about shmups, if you haven't played a lot of them, I would say start with like Virtual Console.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Like play Omega 5, because it's something that's newer. You've got the dual stick thing. Play Geometry Wars, stuff like that. That's like newer and easier. So that you can kind of get used to how things work and what's going on. Play some of the stuff on Virtual Console, and then move on from there to stuff like R-Type's not very hard. Blazing Lasers, Life Force, and just move on to harder stuff from there.
If you like it, that is. But I mean, like,
If you like it.
like, what's an entry level one? Like that you just be like, well, why don't you play this and see if you like it?
I don't know. Entry level for me, you guys are going to tell me I'm crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're like,
You're asking the wrong guy.
Well, if you like retro games, I mean, personally, I think that Life Force is a good. I don't think Life Force is horribly hard. But I mean, if you want a new-looking shmup, then I think that's another story. I don't know that I could make a good recommendation on that.
Yeah, I don't know. R-Type is good. It's not very hard, and I don't like. I hate to say it, but Omega 5 might be a good starting point because it's new and it's really easy.
Pretty.
And you can play it and sort of get a feel for the basic rules of shmups, I guess.
Right.
And then move on from there to more hardcore, older stuff.
Yeah.
Like on Dreamcast or Saturn.
Like you were talking about like Star Fox not really being a shmup, and there was what's that game like Einhander?
Einhander.
Oh yeah, the Square game.
Is that the one? Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's two. There's the Square game, which is I guess Einhander, and then there's some other like 3D shooter that I remember. I know there was one on the Sega CD. There was Sylpheed.
Oh yeah,
Project
yeah.
Sylphie. No, Einhander's a 2D shmup.
What's the Square one? Is a 3D one, right?
I don't know. The Einhander that I know is well, yeah, I guess it sort of is 3D.
It's like a 2D,
it
3D
plays like a
hype.
2D shmup. But
It does.
You'll
Yeah.
go around corners and you're all of a sudden shooting forward, kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it tilts the camera on you a little bit.
Yeah, because Edco
Yeah.
brought that up, and I remember playing it, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome," and I never actually liked it. I was like,
Yeah, I guess it is sort of 3D.
I don't,
It
you
plays like
it?
a 2D shmup, though. Yeah, I love that game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't. I don't know. Chad, you seem to know it pretty well.
It's like it's hard to Well, it's hard to explain because it is similar to Star Fox. It's like a 3D game, but it does feel like a 2D shmup. So I guess it does kind of like go against the rule of what we said before, because I definitely would consider that game a shmup, but at the same time it is 3D. So I don't really know.
See, I don't know. Like that game, it's a tough one because that changes it up. Like it plays like a 2D shooter. Like you'll start a level, like that train level, and it's 2D through most of the level, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, there are levels like where you're in a city, and it's all 2D. It's like an old horizontal shmup, and then all of a sudden you'll like turn a corner and go around a building, and you're like facing forward. Like it changes the perspective up on you through the level. So it's kind of a rail shooter with 2D segments, I guess is the best way I could describe it.
All right. Yeah, I just remember I was like, this is weird. Dude, one of the things that always pissed me off about shooters was when you touch the wall. Some of them are like this, and some of them are not. Like when you touch the
I was
wall,
about to
like
bring
you
that
die.
up too. Instantly.
Yeah, instantly die, and I fucking hate that. Like,
Yeah.
like if you're gonna put something, first of all, things are attacking you, and hey, that's hard, okay. And then it's like, and then we're gonna like put in like these, pathways, like the walls and ceilings, and
some of
stuff
them
like
are
that.
ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're like, if you touch it, like you're dead. And then in some of them, like you don't, you touch it, you're not dead. You're like, like in Gradius, you fucking touch a wall, die. You're just like, son of.
Yeah,
and then they
a
have
lot of
that one
shmups are
level
like
where all
that.
the.
Ikaruga's like that, Radiant Silvergun. You guys remember Silver Surfer for the NES?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody mentioned that in the comments. You couldn't touch a fucking thing in that game. So goddamn hard. You couldn't touch anything. Everything on the screen would kill you.
Some of those games had weird hit detection too. Like I feel like there was like 10 pixel force field around your ship that would still blow it up. I feel like
Well, there is. All shmups have what's called
a
hitbox, which is
The area
where the
around
collision
the ship.
detection starts. Right, like in Ikaruga, you have your ship and you have that big blue halo around the ship. Actually, the only thing that is vulnerable is the little cockpit.
Oh, really?
I actually heard that about the bullet hell ones. I heard that in those there actually is 1 pixel. That's it in the middle of your
all
ship
those
that
bullet hell
kill
shmups,
you.
all that Danmaku stuff, there's a very small hitbox, and that's one of the things that really sets them apart. The hitbox
Yeah, and I
is
heard
really
that's how
tiny.
you survive. It's just if you keep that in mind, you'll be able to make it because
Yeah, you have to learn. You have to learn where the hitbox is. Like learn where that little vulnerable spot. That's how bullet hell shmups are even playable.
Mm-hmm.
All that Toho Project stuff, the characters are like 10 times bigger than the hitbox. You have this little spot right at the core that's actually vulnerable, and you have to just learn where that is, and you know where you can. Like in Ikaruga, on stage 3, there's a part where you're going up through this like passageway, and there are fighter planes coming down at you and coming up from behind you in both directions. And the only way you can get through that is just to know where the hitbox is and know that it's the little cockpit in the middle of the ship.
That's crazy.
So actually, ships are hitting you. They're crashing into your ship. From both sides, but you won't blow up because the only part that's vulnerable is that little cockpit.
Interesting.
See,
Yeah, so the sprite, there's actually things like flying through the sprite, but it's not hurting you because the only
That doesn't seem
button
very
hits
fair.
the box.
that seems like
Why?
something Well, hey, something you should have told me yesterday. Like,
Well, I mean, this is why it doesn't seem very
You have
fair.
to
'Cause
learn
it's
it.
like if the hitbox is small, why don't they just make the sprite smaller? Like it seems kind of weird that they would design the sprite and then be like, oh, by
Because
the way.
then you have boring, teeny little 1-pixel sprites.
Well, yeah, but then that's the thing. They got to work around that. If you have a big ship, they should make it realistic. And like, if your ship gets hit, you die. Like, it doesn't really make any sense.
No, you have to. I don't know. You have to learn it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well,
That's
no,
just
I
that's
agree.
shmups
I
for
can
you.
see
You
what
have to
Chad's
like
saying.
sit
It's
down
like-
and learn it.
Yeah.
You have to study it and learn to play it.
yeah, but I mean, why don't you just design the level to where like the ship is your hitbox instead of like we're gonna create this graphic
yeah, exactly.
where
That's what I'm saying.
oh
It's
no
weird.
like like an enemy can go through your wing and you're fine. It's like, well,
Because it doesn't look as cool and it's not as fun.
all right,
Good answer.
we
good answer.
wow, Toph, you win this check.
And also, you can like call people into the room like, hey, look what I can do, I guess. I don't know. It looks more impressive when your friends come over and you're playing and like
It does,
flying
yeah.
all over the place.
that
You're
only
like, oh my
impresses,
god,
like,
how are you
people like
surviving
us.
this?
I've shown people stuff that is fucking awesome in video games. I'm like, here, check this out, and I'll do it, and they're like, just staring at me like, what? I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I know.
I hate you. I hate you. Recognize my awesome hobby. What do you, seriously, obviously, you know a lot about the shooters. Like, what are, they've been around for a while. There's a shit ton of them. Like, what are some of the most important, like, advances in shooters? Like, you know, up until this point, and then, you know, so-and-so, you know, added this to the genre, and la la la. So,
some of the most, I don't know.
No.
Options are a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that Gradius introduced. Gradius, however you want to say it. I don't know what the proper
Don't ask
pronunciation
me.
is.
Yeah, don't ask Dyson.
Options like
He's like, I think it's pronounced Ferroni. Some random.
Yeah, it's pronounced Chad Concelmo.
Awesome.
options like gun pods, little drone ships, like the little thing in R-Type that you could you would follow you, or you could do different shit with it, whatever.
Option.
Selectable weapons are a big thing. Shit, I don't know.
Oh, okay, so there's no like, you know, like
All that
you know how like
stuff,
Street Fighter 2 changed fighting games. There's no like just one moment where you're like, oh, and then you know Thunder Force 5 brought something, blah, and then
I would say Gradius is a big one. Gradius,
Yeah,
I'll just pick the games. I guess it might be easier for me to.
yeah.
Gradius was a big one. Batsugun, Donpachi. Radiant Silvergun. Fuck, I don't know.
Ikaruga, I mean, was like really popular. So I mean,
Ikaruga was but that's different in that it's so very simple. Like there's not much.
Wait, whoa! Are you calling Ikaruga simple?
Yeah, it's
Well,
very
I see where you're
basic
going.
and simple. You have one weapon through the whole
Oh,
game.
I see what you're saying. I think you meant simple as in like challenge-wise.
You start with the same weapon that you beat the game with.
Mm.
You know, there's no upgrades, there are no items, there's no anything. It's just you and your ship, and you do it.
See, I like that. I like the weapons though. Like I like it, you know, and like I always tell you.
See, I like
play
that
Stinger. Gradius 5 has different weapon sets. Another game I was just thinking of completely escapes me, but I like, you know, fucking like, you know, blazing lasers. Like you can totally change.
Blazing lasers. There's
Yeah, I
shit
like that.
all over the place. See, there are different schools. There's like the minimalist school, which is Ikaruga's the prime example of. I mean, nothing changes at all about your ship. And then there's the maximalist school.
Maximist?
Yeah,
Maximin, awesome, and then there you go.
Maximumist, whatever. Schools and games like Blazing Lasers, or even Radiant Silvergun, which is weird because it's like supposed to be the spiritual predecessor to Ikaruga, but it's so much different in that Radiant Silvergun, you have like 7 weapons at any given time that you can use.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't
It makes it
think
more
that
fun to
It doesn't even
replay.
include the fucking sword. I mean, you have so many weapons at your disposal at any given moment. So it's up to you, like what you like and what you're into. Some people fucking hate Ikaruga because there are no other weapons, there are no power-ups.
Wasn't there just the one where like once you chain a bunch of something, there's like a bomb or something in Ikaruga?
Some of them are like that, yeah. No, not in Ikaruga. Your score increases as you
okay.
chain attacks, and you can get an extra life.
I was like
At
getting the
every
shield. Every time I play any
influencer.
game though, like any shooter game, if there's a speed up like option, that's the first thing I always do.
Yeah,
yeah,
me
totally.
too.
Like especially with the Gradius, it's like I crank up the speed like as fast as I can, and then I hate when
Yep.
you die and your fucking
And you
thing.
slow again.
Oh, it's like trying to steer a house.
Actually, that's a good point. Gradius
that's
is a
another-
perfect example. Like Gradius 3, or R-Type, even R-Type sometimes, but Gradius especially, it's one of those games where if you get to like level 6 and you have like every power-up and you're so powerful, once you die, you have to pretty much start over.
Yeah, and that hurts.
You can't start on level 6 with no power-ups and expect to like finish the game. Like, it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, so much of it depends on like how much firepower you have, and for me, that's the biggest thing, and that'll make or break a shmup for me is how fast the ship is.
Oh yeah.
I love that about
I
Ikaruga.
agree.
That the ship is like the perfect speed.
Yeah.
It's really nimble, and you can just like tap the D-pad and just make quick little movements. Where a lot of games, if the ship is too slow, I just won't even fucking play it. I'm like, there's no way, I just can't do it. If the ship is too slow, fuck it, I don't even want it.
Screw you,
Like
ship.
I need a really quick ship. I need to be able
that's
to
why I
move
always go
around
for the
really
speedy
fast.
power-ups, because it's like I move like I intend to move much faster, and if you got a slow-ass ship, you're just like, well, how am I supposed to get out of the way of all this if you're giving me like this fucking like Ford Pinto of a ship? So, well, that's fucking awesome. All right, we'll keep Topher. There's probably like 8 billion more things you want to say.
Yeah, I have a whole disgusting list of shit here that I was going to go through.
We should have,
but I
like,
don't want the show to be 4 hours. We'll do another shmup episode. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because as long as I'm a cast member on this show, we totally will have room for
Oh crap! This show's been
more
an
shmup
hour.
episodes.
Oh fuck.
So yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Just a couple
We can
things
do
I wanted to
shmup
go over.
parts. Yeah.
A couple games that you guys might be interested in if you like shmups. Google Toho Project. TOUHOU. Just Google it. You'll find it. I'm not going to give you the link. Sorry. Look for some of that. There's a game called Shoot the Bullet. That's another Toho Project game where instead of you play a girl who works for a school newspaper.
What?
And yeah, and the object is to take pictures of the bosses, and that's how you clear the bullets from the screen. And the more bullets are on the screen when you take the picture, the more points. And like the closer to the boss you are, the more points you get. And it focuses on, like, you don't destroy the boss. I think. I don't know. I haven't played it. I've just seen video of it. And Buster talks about it a lot, and it looks like a really awesome game. It's called Shoot the Bullet. Check that out. God, there's so many fucking games on it.
Yeah,
We just don't have time.
What was your favorite one in the arcade? Well, yours is Galaga. Chad.
That's my favorite, like, old cabinet, yeah.
Oh, okay. And do you guys have any like favorite like fondest arcade memories of shooters?
Arcade or just overall?
Arcade, yeah. Because that's a question actually. Someone wanted to know. Actually, two people. It was Nilcam and Moonjob for like fondest arcade moments for shooters.
No, I can't really remember that many arcade shooters I played.
See,
I know I played.
I thought
Yeah.
the same thing, but then I started looking through all the comments, and it's like, oh, I don't remember playing shooters, and I'm like, wait, 1941, I remember playing.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. That.
Yeah, you do.
I remember playing Raiden. I remember playing Life Force.
Oh yeah, Raiden.
Yeah, Raiden.
Xevious.
You're
I
right,
remember
yeah.
playing. Like, there's so many that you forgot that you've played because you were so used to playing consoles.
Yeah,
You're
anything
like, oh,
that said
holy shit.
Konami on it, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
totally. Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Galaga. What about, like, on consoles? What are some of you guys... Just, I don't know, give me your top 5 shooters.
Blazing
Or just,
Lasers.
I don't know.
Blazing
name a few of your
Lasers.
favorites.
Blazing Lasers. Stinger for the NES. Cause
Yeah.
it's fun. And
wow.
it's cute. What else? I'm gonna go with Chad. Like, I do like the Air Zonk ones.
Yeah, they're awesome.
God, what are some other ones? Well, Gradius, obviously. I didn't really care for R-Type. I didn't really get into it too much. Ikaruga's fun, but I'm not a super big fan of it. And that's about all I can think of right now. You guys?
Yeah, for me, I mean, Life Force is going to be my favorite. I love Ikaruga. I know this is really, like, crazy, but I think I'm actually going to say that I like Omega 5 enough to put it in my top 5, which...
Really?
Yeah, I love it. Like, I don't know. I feel as if that's almost got a little bit of blasphemy to it because of how many great games there have been over time, but,
Yeah.
you know...
Fuck
Grady-
that. If you like it, you like it.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I really do.
It's your list.
Gradius is one of my favorites, actually, that's ever been made. Man.
Yeah, so you just kind of run out. You're like, huh.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. It's that it's hard. It's that I'm thinking, well, but I loved this, but I love that. I'm trying to think about the ones that were the most fun for me, you know? And I have to say that Life Force was the most fun, and then, you know, Gradius was really fun, and I also loved, fuck. Oh my god, the name is totally slipping me.
It had a ship and there was bosses.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. It'll come back to me, but yeah. Well, you know, it wasn't my favorite genre. That's the thing. It's something that I think I've loved more as time has gone by than that I loved, you know, long time because I was always an RPG player, and that I think that shooters were something that now and at this point in my life I enjoy more going back to. Than came along as I, you know, as my
Yeah,
whole gamer
I
identity
understand.
formed. Yeah.
I understand that, totally, because it's like, you never really thought, like, shooters were always around. There was hundreds and hundreds of them, so it was never, there's always platformers, right, and they're always shooters. And now, like, in these days, you're like, hey, where'd all the shooters go? So it's something that unless you're Topher, it's something you appreciate more over time.
It's kind of like comfort food. Because, no, seriously though, it's like they've always been around, and like I never really appreciated them to the point where it's like I would like Topher, where it's like become like this lifestyle for me. But at the same time, when I do play them, I absolutely love them, and I'm like they're so awesome. But then I never really think about them that much until I'm playing them. So they've always been around. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's like a weird genre.
No.
Games are incredible, but I never really go out of my way to play them unless I'm playing them, and then I'm like, wait, these games are awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
They've gone underground. That's where they went. They didn't go away. They just went underground.
It kind of makes
so
them
much
like
of it now.
Well, like college band, like
yeah.
It's like it's like Dave Matthews, like is like the annoying band that everyone ended up liking. That becomes Dave Matthews is like FPS's. Like and
Chad.
and SHMUPS are like Radiohead.
You're funny.
So much of it now is just underground, and it's all. Google Doujin Soft. Just Google Doujin Soft. So much of it is indie developed stuff. It's freeware, PC games, and a lot of it's on Dreamcast too because the copy protection sucks. But just go to Google. Actually, go to shootthecore.blogspot.com.
Do it.
Shoot the core.
Bullethell.blogspot. DonMakuDreams.blogspot. Go to, you know what? Fuck all that. Go to Buster's community blog. Our community member Buster. Add him to your friends list. Read his blog because he totally knows what's going on. Probably better than I even do. About all these indie doujin shooters. Just pay attention to his blog because he'll tell you about it. He knows about all that shit.
Awesome.
He's the man when it comes to that.
Monkey Spoon. Yeah, and sorry we didn't have you on the show, Buster. You're in a weird country.
You're in El Salvador.
Yeah.
Skype won't work. That's why we didn't have you on the show. We'll have you on the next one.
Cool. A couple more questions before Topher wraps up with his. One is Monkey Spoon, though. I have to ask this because this is kind of funny. Also,
That's a
on
cool
a side
name,
note,
by the way.
Yeah, Monkey Spoon 5. How do you convince someone who absolutely hates 2D games into thinking that they're at least passable and that he should try some before he speaks badly of them? He keeps claiming, quote, those were good for their time, but compared to games today, they suck. Quote, how do I combat such ignorance?
You tell him to fuck right off and don't talk to him anymore because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, that's my first response, and my second response is, like, you find a couple of games that are good no matter what. Like, not every great old 2D game is perfect. And, sit them down in front of Super Mario Brothers 3. Or actually, you engage them in a conversation and say, well, what's so great about this game that you like that's 3D? And have them, and then find that game and be like, wow, that's exactly the same thing that's great about this game in 2D.
Yeah.
This is like, and that game will never not be good, will it? And he'll be like, well, I guess. And then you tell him to fuck off.
Oh boy, that was really great just now.
But also, and I think another listener, I think it might have been Mad Ninja, I'm not sure at the moment, was like, what words of retro do you want on your tombstone? And someone answered him, send us up the bomb. So it was like, if and the horrible instance of when one of us passes away, what would you put? What retro phrase would you put on your tombstone?
One.
Can I put "Rise from Your Grave"?
Yeah. Sure.
No, I'm sure it would be something else, but that's the first thing I thought of.
I'm not going to answer that because with the week, you guys know what kind of week I had. I'll probably die if I actually say something.
Then you have to answer it, so we know.
Yeah, because then we can put something on there.
You're like, man, if you'd only answered it.
I don't know.
I
just put I don't know. That's what
I don't know.
Put on my tomb. I don't know. Lol, I don't know.
I like something misspelled, like congratulations
Yeah, like congratulations.
Congratulations.
The Gracial Fortune.
Congratulations.
The Gracial Fortune.
It needs to be something funny, or you can't decide if it's something funny or if it's like something serious.
Oh, it would have to. To me, it would have to be something funny because there's too many funny retro things.
Insert coin or.
Yeah.
Mine would be like, thanks for playing. Why don't you try a harder level?
Oh, you know what, guys? Wait a minute. I totally got it.
I would put? Okay.
I've got it. You go.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I can wait. You go.
Okay, I would put continue ? And then.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say like press start to continue.
Oh, that's so much better than mine.
That's totally what I would put.
That's awesome.
Mine would be, I think, I was just thinking about Castlevania 2, which is one of my favorite NES games.
Me too.
And I think it would be, What a Horrible Night for a Curse.
That's a good one.
That's one of my favorite ones
Or not
ever.
do Symphony of the Night, like, what is man, but it's...
Yes, that would be freaking epic, actually.
Oh. You know what? The PSP one, they took out that awesome voiceover and like
See, that's a bummer. That's like part of the game.
The PSP one can suck a dick because that's not cool.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. That's a classic. So.
Yeah, that's not right to take that out.
Right. Well, all right, but we got to most of the questions. So, but I want to end. Topher, take us out. There was many other things you wanted to mention before we go. So.
Oh God, I don't know. Google Warning Forever. That's another great shmup. I wanted to get into like difficulty and the way some game like Triggerheart Excelica and Warning Forever will adjust the difficulty depending on your performance.
Really?
In the game, yeah.
Well, that kind of. Is that good?
No, it's kind of fucking awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you're as fucking like if you're as good as these things as you are, then you get more of a challenge. But if you kind of aren't as good, like the rest of the human population, anyone who's not Topher, I guess that would make a game too easy, don't you think? He doesnn't care. He's like, whatever.
He's like, whatever. I beat Ikaruga.
Yeah. I was
Totally
actually
didn't
talking
say
about
that.
Topher the other day. I was at work and I was talking about Topher in something. We were talking about games, big surprise. And I was like, yeah, I was one of his friends. Like, he's like a mechanic when it comes to shooters. And we were shooting the shit the other day. And he's like, yeah, I really wish I could beat Ikaruga without using a continue. And we're all just stop and we're like, yeah, we kind of wish we could beat Ikaruga, fucker. Don't lament about your awesomeness.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no. That's why we love you, because you're so awesome.
Topher's amazing.
What else you got, though?
I don't know. I was going to go over some of my favorites.
What are your favorites?
We'll get to all that. Ikaruga.
Duh.
It's my favorite game ever. My favorite thing in this world. Triggerheart Excelica.
You like Ikaruga more than Slurpees?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa.
Do you like Ikaruga more than Korean girls?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Epic. That was an epic question.
More than
Do you
pancakes.
like Ikaruga more than the B-Dog?
Ooh.
Ooh. That's hard.
I'm gonna somebody
Pass.
somebody get on a mod of Ikaruga with the B-Dog as the ship, and then negate that question.
And then
you won't have
Topher
to
will
answer
die
that
happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my Triggerheart Excelica is another one of my favorites. You know what? Fuck my list. Let's just yeah.
I'm sure
This
it's a
show's
very,
gonna go on
very
forever.
long list.
Radiant Silvergun, Blazing Lasers,
All of them.
All of
Mushigami-sama,
them.
Perfect Cherry Blossom. Let's just, you know what? We'll do another shmup episode sometime. We'll break it down a little more. And
Yeah, we'll do. How about this, listeners? If you didn't hear what you wanted to hear, we're gonna do. We'll do like the best shoot-em-ups of all time. We'll do that episode.
yeah, we'll do that,
Sure.
or let's do one on Dojin Soft because we could do a whole episode on that.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right.
I'm gonna play
Like
some
indie
more after the
shmups.
show, so by next time I'll.
You
be
know what?
more-
We'll do an episode on Dojin Soft,
Okay.
and we'll have fucking Buster on for that.
There you go. Awesome. Cool. So you guys got listeners. You got more to look forward to, and of course, so do we. So fucking A. Awesome. Toph, it's your birthday. So,
Yeah.
Yeah! Best week ever. The week of win.
It was the week of win.
Cool. All right, well, we've dragged this. Long show is long once again. I'm surprised. Honestly, listeners, thanks. I cannot believe that so many people listen to the show in its entirety.
I know.
We honestly try to keep it under an hour, and it never happens. So.
But it's because we love what we're talking about. And I mean, I'm just assuming that since we have yet to get a comment that says, shut the fuck up, I don't think other people mind.
Which we'll get on the.
I know someone's gonna leave that
show.
Yeah, everybody's gonna put shut the fuck up. So, but then
STFU.
We actually got through about a third of what I had written down that I wanted to talk about.
Wow.
Oh my god.
We got
we'll have
Chaos Field, Mars Matrix is another one of my.
We need to have an after the podcast show like Oprah has.
Oh, please don't compare anything we do to Oprah.
Yes, please.
SHMUPS!
Yay!
That was my Oprah impression.
Oh god. All right, I'm leaving
See, I
before
didn't get
things
that
devolve anymore. Everybody, let's say goodnight.
Okay.
Boy. Good night.
Good night. That was awesome.
Twinkle Star Sprites, the PS2 version, because it's just the cutest fucking thing ever.